Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope all of you are having an awesome week so far. Students, in this class we're looking at IELTS speaking, and the topic of part 2, the cue card, will be house rules, and part 3 will continue with that topic. Welcome AV. Hi, good to see Chen, our chat moderator. Long time no see, Chen. Carolina, also our chat moderator, here with us today to help. Anna, nice to see some members in the class already. Students, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Visit us there. For the general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. These are our websites. They power these live classes, and using them every day will certainly help you increase your band scores. This is the academic website here. We are an IDP affiliate, a British Council partner, an IELTS Test Registration Center. We had the first IELTS YouTube videos online. And all you have to do to join the premium version is just click that button. It's a one-time payment. You get lifetime access. It doesn't cost much, about 40-50 bucks. And you can even enter this code FUTURE10 for an extra 10% discount coming from our most recent speaking video. General IELTS students, it's gieltshelp.com. It's the green background, and again, just click this big red button there and you are good to go. For those of you who are premium members, you have 2 more Zoom classes tomorrow. Each week, premium members get 2 Zoom classes on Thursdays and Fridays. If you'd like to check those out, visit this link. I'll drop it into the chat so you can see what those classes look like. They're very, very helpful. Students, the apps are Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help. The apps will link to the websites. So Academic IELTS Help will link to aehelp.com. General IELTS Help to gieltshelp.com. And if you have questions, everybody, about the IELTS, about our products, just send us an email, adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. Tomorrow, premium members, you have task 1 writing, and on Friday you'll have speaking. Okay, everybody, let's get into today's speaking practice. When you have time, watch this speaking video here. And today we'll use Zoom to practice a little bit as well. Okay, I am watching the chat, everybody, so please answer questions in the chat, and soon you will be able to volunteer to answer through Zoom. Make sure to speak and repeat. Copy what I say, copy how I say it. So speak and repeat. Try to match my speed, my intonation, my pronunciation as much as possible. All right, students, so you get to your IELTS exam, go early, go 1 hour before the interview starts, switch to English, speak with other candidates, find a speaking partner that's at the exam center and practice some speaking with them. And then you'll get into your exam, and when you hear the instructions from the examiner, that takes about a minute and a half. Think about your strategies, like giving lots of clear explanations and examples. Okay. The examiner will say, "Welcome to the speaking section of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I will be your examiner for this part of the test. We are conducting the exam in Vancouver. The time right now is 14 o'clock. Let's begin. May I see your identification?" It's always the first question. They want to make sure you are who you say you are. Answer professionally, students. It's a professional test. You're not meeting up with your English teacher or your friend. Don't just say, "Yeah, sure." That's very strange to say to a professional. So you should say something like "certainly" or "with pleasure." Let's do something different. "With pleasure. Here is my ID. I used to register not long ago. Please take a look." Okay, lots of ways to say a response to this question in a more professional, complete way than just saying "yeah" or "yeah, sure." And they will not interrupt you or do anything as long as you're fluent. So you need to say these first few responses very clearly so it sets the stage for a good band score. Okay? So again, repeat after me. May I see your identification? Repeat questions as well, students. It's very important that you're practicing questions as well as the answers, not just the answers. Okay? It's a conversation. You have to understand both sides of the conversation. So again, just repeat after me. May I see your identification? With pleasure. Here's my ID. I used to register not long ago. Please take a look. Okay. Nat has another nice answer for us, as many of you do. Nat says, gladly, here are my credentials that I used to register for this exam. Please take a look. Great. That sets the stage. That lets the examiner know that you're here, you reviewed, you studied the exam, and you are going to be professional. Can you use everyday language? Absolutely. Can you use slangs and idioms? Absolutely. But it's still a professional conversation at the end of the day. Okay? Mal says, of course, here's my passport. Please take a look. Nice full sentence, not just of course or here, right? Okay, then the next question is, what is your full name? Again, show the examiner that you prepared. My given name is Thomas, and my surname is Smith. Please just call me Tom. Okay, again, tell them what you want to be called. It shows that you prepared for the test. What is your full name? My given name is Thomas and my surname is Smith. Please just call me Tom. Okay. Band boosters, the computer-based IELTS is the same. So if you're doing the computer-based test, they might not ask you for your ID. They will ask you for your name and what you want to be called. You want to focus on the same kind of answers. In fact, you want to be even more animated, more loud, because the screen is filtering your emotions. So you want to be even a little bit extra animated when you're doing the interview in the computer-based exam. Okay, Amrit says this. Amrit says, my full name is Amrit Paul Singh. Always capitalize your name, Amrit. You can just call me Amrit for short. Instead of you can just call me, please call me. You shouldn't be giving an examiner permission to call you. You should be asking them to call you by name. So it's more accurate in this situation to say, please call me Amrit for short. My full name is Amrit Paul Singh. Please call me Amrit for short. Okay? And always capitalize your names. Use correct capitalization when you're practicing for the IELTS, even if you're just doing text messages or messages on YouTube. Okay? Band boosters, in the computer-based exam, they usually don't ask for your identification, so you don't have to worry about that question as much. But in case they do, you should be ready to answer the same way. Okay? Now, they will ask some questions in the beginning to make you feel comfortable. Some people think, oh, these don't matter because I'm not getting marked. Technically, no, you're not getting marked, but in fact, they are measuring your English with every single sentence. And they are not just measuring your English, but your ability to communicate clearly. And that even involves your eye contact, your hand gestures. Some silly videos online say don't worry about your body language or eye contact. That's just silly. They're very important parts of good communication, and the IELTS examiner is not just measuring your English. If anybody tells you that, then they don't really know what they're talking about. They're measuring your communication in English. Okay? Very, very important. So you have to pay attention to your whole communication. Okay? It's a full experience, not just words. All right? Do you work or study? I am both employed and I am a student. I currently work as tech support at a small firm, and I am enrolled in university for a Bachelor of Science in Computer Engineering. Okay, so again, nice full sentence answer. Look at this correlative conjunction. These are those paired conjunctions, both and. Okay, for those of you who are not familiar with your conjunctions, sometimes teachers will just say connecting words. Connecting words, everybody, it's not good enough. Okay, connecting words are like what, right? There's a million connecting words. Instead of connecting words, you need to think about, don't think connecting words. Instead, think conjunctions. Conjunctions is the correct term for connecting words in grammar. You need to learn them. There are 3 families of these conjunctions. One is what's called coordinating. One is called correlative, and the other is called subordinating or subordinate conjunctions. Okay, if you're unfamiliar with these conjunctions and this is new to you and you're like what, then I recommend that you definitely join our course here at aehelp.com. When you do that, go to your My Student account, and in your My Student account, in the full online course, go to the bonus writing and grammar part of your course that's available. And in here, you will find all of the conjunctions explained with examples, okay? Correlative, and so on. And then watch the speaking videos. There are 125 in the premium version. And lots of them show you how to use these conjunctions effectively. Okay, same thing in the general IELTS version as well. So be familiar with those conjunction, students. They help to boost your marks. Okay, so correlatives are paired conjunctions like not only but also, either or, neither nor, and so forth. Okay, Miles says, I just looked them up in the search engine. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right. Olivia says this. Olivia says, I am a professional. I work as a nurse at the Immaculate Medical Health Center here in Bamenda. I've been with them for like 3 years now. Okay, good. That's a good answer. No space before a comma, Olivia. Make sure to capitalize your I's, especially when starting a sentence. If the name of the medical center is Immaculate, then make sure that's a big I, big M, big H, big C. Okay, correct capitalization. Students, practice that for your IELTS exam. It's very important. Okay. All right. And then the examiner will ask maybe one more question, like what do you like to do in your leisure time? And then right away, give a good, clear answer. Paraphrase the question, in my spare time, right? Because spare time, leisure time are kind of the same. In my spare time, if I have lots of energy, I like going for a hike. And if I feel drained, then I sit with a book on my couch and read for a while. And then in the beginning, it's a good idea to throw in an example. Now, don't say for example or for instance. That kind of freaks out the examiners. They think you're going to speak off topic or too long maybe. So just give the example, okay? I'm currently rereading War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. Okay? So again, nice full sentence answer. Good examples don't need to be introduced. You don't need to say for example or for instance. You just say them. Okay? It's nice, clear communication. So again, repeat after me, everybody. What do you like to do in your leisure time? In my spare time, if I have lots of energy, I like going for a hike. And if I feel drained, then I sit with a book on my couch and read for a while. I'm currently rereading War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. Amartya saying thank you for your super chat donation. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's nice of you. Okay. Anna has this answer. Remember, Anna says, in my spare time, I prefer to go to the park for a stroll because nature makes me calm. And then I would really throw in an example here, Anna, to make it a perfect like high band, band 8, band 9. I would say something like last Saturday, I felt quite stressed from the work week. So I went to Central Park for an hour walk. Okay, and then with that added sentence, you're showing nice fluency, range of grammar right away. Okay, Jalaluddin, Hopa, Sultan, those are some nice answers as well. Students, and then the examiner will introduce part 1. Sometimes it's a few different topics, sometimes it's just one topic. They'll say something like, let's talk about television. Sure. TV. Good old TV. All right. And then they'll just get right into it. So as soon as they say, let's talk about television, then start thinking and visualizing, imagining the TV. And the examiner might say something like, how often do you watch TV? Okay. With how often, think both qualitative, like always, sometimes, never, for instance, or seldom. Okay, plus think quantitative. So 2 hours a day, 3 times a week. Okay, so think numbers. Think both of those. Okay. So I could say I often watch TV. I would say almost daily for an hour. I have some favorite shows like Squid Games. And I like to watch movies on the weekends with my family. Okay, so again, nice full sentence answer. You don't need to speak too much, but just enough to let the examiner know that you understood the question, you have a clear answer, and you're thinking about them. Okay. All right. So here, Amartya Singh, who just gave the super chat donation, thank you for that. Amartya says, I don't watch TV that often, but when I do, I used to watch some cultural programs and informative programs, and on weekends I watch some movies or shows. Okay, so Amartya, here the examiner is still going, okay, so how often do you watch TV? See, students, without that quantification, so Amartya, without those numbers, I really don't have a clear understanding here yet. So this would still, even with perfect English, it would be just a band 7. But you have a grammatical mistake here. I do used to watch is incorrect. Okay, so because of that, and because it's not clear, this would be like a band 6 as is. Okay, and the examiner is thinking unclear with some grammatical mistakes. Okay, so that's why they're kind of giving you that band score, if that makes sense. Okay, So to make this answer clearer, Amartya, you need to change it. You need to fix the grammar, and even more importantly, you need to make it more coherent. Okay, so here, Amartya, all you need to do is something like this. I don't watch TV that often, maybe just once a week for an hour or two, because I'm quite occupied with my studies. But when I do watch TV, okay, I watch some cultural programs and informative programs, and on weekends I watch some movies or shows. Okay, so that's much better. It's grammatically accurate and it's understandable. Does that make sense? Do you see how that's different from the original? Okay, so that's the big difference. Look at the original one. I don't watch TV that often, but when I do, I used to watch some cultural programs and informative programs, and on weekends I watch some movies or shows. Versus, I don't watch TV that often, maybe just once a week for an hour or two, because I'm quite occupied with my studies. But when I do watch TV, I watch some cultural programs and informative programs, and on the weekends I watch some movies or shows. Okay, do you see the difference there? So this is clear and grammatically accurate, and that is a big difference in band scores. Okay. All right, now the questions increase in difficulty in part one, and they'll maybe ask you a question like this: have TV shows changed since you were a child? So this is obviously what kind of grammar, students? Okay, what kind of grammar are we looking at here? Always really pay attention to the grammar of the questions. Okay, you need to really pay attention to that grammar. Alexander says perfect. What kind of perfect grammar is it? There's past perfect, there's all kinds of perfect. It's present perfect, that's right. Very good, Sultan. So it's present perfect. So your answer has to be present perfect. In natural English, that usually happens. In natural English, usually when a question is present perfect, very often the response will be in present perfect. So they have changed a lot. Just even a quick, simple acknowledgement of the present perfect like this. This is already present perfect. Have changed. They have changed a lot. These days, shows have become much more excitable. I mean, full of action and special effects. And they have also become less culturally bound. I mean, shows are now designed or scripted for an international audience. Squid Games that I just mentioned is filmed in Korea, but enjoyed around the world. Okay, and that is where you really can shine, is where you're connecting your ideas, right? Some answers, they can be a little bit longer like this to show your fluency, as long as you don't go off topic and you stay fluent. Okay, and notice here that shows have become. I'm using the present perfect a second time just to really drive home that point to the examiner that, yeah, I get it, it's present perfect. I'm going to, use it too to emphasize change over time. Okay. have TV shows changed since you were a child? They have changed a lot. These days, shows have become much more excitable, full of action and special effects, and they have also become less culturally bound, means connected to just one or two cultures. Shows are now scripted for an international audience. Squid Games that I just mentioned is filmed in Korea but enjoyed around the world. Yeah, Alexander, a TV show and a TV series is the same. Yeah, same thing, just different ways to say it. Okay. Deborah has this answer for us. Thank you, Deborah. Deborah says, yes, it has. Now, careful. Always pay attention to the plural singular match. So if the question subject is plural shows, then make sure that you're also reflecting that. So here, this would be a mistake, Deborah. This needs to be, yes, they have. Okay. Programs, you can say programs instead of shows or series. Programs have changed tremendously. 20 years ago, most of the TV programs were very boring and always often meant for adults. But recently, there are varieties to programming, both for children and adults. Okay, so that's the corrected version, Deborah. Yes, they have. Programs have changed tremendously. 20 years ago, most of the TV programs were very boring and always and often, don't have both, and often meant for adults, but recently there are varieties to programming for both children and adults. Yeah, we have lots more shows. Amrit, super chat donation with a question. Sir, can you tell me UK universities interview clear? I'm not sure what you mean with that question, Amrit. The UK universities, so just a bit of an answer here for Amrit, and thanks for that super chat donation. So UK universities, like universities in the US, Canada, Australia, so UK universities need at least a band 6.5 overall on IELTS for a bachelor, and 7 for masters, but a 7.5 or higher is recommended for masters and PhD. Okay. And no section should be under 6 for a bachelor, and no section should be under a 6.5 for a master's. I hope that answers your question, Amrit. I'm not sure if that's what you're thinking, but that's what you need to do. And the interview for the speaking is the same for general IELTS. It's the same for academic. It's the same for all people. Okay, and ideally, I guess here's another important point, everybody. The speaking section should be as high as possible. That's the one score they're really looking at, because they need you to be able to communicate with your teachers, your peers. So the speaking section should be as high as possible. They look extra carefully at the speaking section for obvious reasons, right? It's your main mode of communication. So if you have a very low score in the speaking section, it usually does not help your application. Okay. All right, students. So we're doing a good job here. And when you answer these 5-6 questions for part 1, the examiner will say, okay, that is the end of part 1. Now let's continue with part 2. For this part, I will show you a card with some questions. You will have 1 minute to read these questions, think about your answers, and then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. And they usually let you speak for the full 2 minutes, especially if you're quite fluent in the first part. So they will ask, do you understand? And then you say, yes, it's clear. They'll tell you that you can take notes in the 1 minute time if you wish. And then they'll say, okay, describe a good rule in your home. Your 1 minute preparation time begins now. And then you have 1 minute to prepare. Okay? All right. Now, again, for those of you who are premium students, you know that the first step after reading the question, so first let's read the question. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's read the question. So describe a good rule in your home. What is the rule? Why did you or someone in your home make this rule? How does it affect life at home? What is your opinion about it? Okay, great. All right. So again, for those of you who have, and I'm not simply just soliciting here, trying to get you to buy the full course, but I know that when you use it, you're going to really appreciate these pieces of information. So again, in your My Student account, in your speaking section after you join the course, okay, there's a part that tells you about speaking part 2. And I think it's here in speaking B. Yeah, this is where it tells you how to describe a person, a place, and so on. There are basically, the cue card is either going to be like a person, okay? It's going to be a place, like talk about a place you go to have fun. It's going to be an object, like talk about a gift. It's going to be maybe an event, so talk about a fun time in your life. Or it's going to be an idea, right? So discuss a clever idea you had to improve your learning, okay? Now, each of these has a way to discuss or to describe. So in this case, describe a good rule in your home. What is this? Is this an object, a person? Anna says this is an idea. Absolutely, Anna. This is an idea. Okay. When you talk about an idea, what should you include? Tell me that and I'll answer Jivan's question here. Jivan says how to make a complex sentence. Jivan, you need to use conjunctions, correlative, coordinating, subordinate that I mentioned earlier, and adjective clause. That's how you make complex sentences. Okay, excuse me. So you describe the idea firstly, right? And if you think about it, the questions are actually asking you for this. So this one is, what is the rule, right? So you describe the idea. And then the origin of the idea. That's right, Anna. That's right, Ghazi. Origin. Where is this idea coming from? Okay. And you can see that here. It's just a complicated way to ask. Why did you or someone in your home make this rule? So the origin. Yep. And then what else? Thank you, Ibrahim. I appreciate that. What else do you need? You need the requirements, right? So what do you need for this idea? Like Sultan says, every person washes their clothes. We usually don't say clean their clothes. We say wash their clothes. Sultan, make sure you use the right verb. So Sultan says every person washes their clothes. What do you need? A washing machine, soap, detergent, some time maybe, right? Requirements. Yeah. And the effects. That's right, Ghazi. The outcomes. And maybe some improvements. Okay, so that's what you need to include. All right, and in the next step, you come up with some ideas. Okay, so step 3, think of 2 to 3 answers. Okay, for example, wash your own clothes. Okay, what else? Okay, Amartia says clean your room. Keep a tidy room, sure. Anna says take off the shoes before entering the home. Okay, sure. Ghazi says go to bed early. Yeah, and if you're like Ghazi or me and you have children, that's an important one. Because every day becomes difficult with tired kids, right? Ghazi, go to bed early. It's Nat says morning prayer. Yeah, or a bedtime prayer for some people, sure. Daigon says, do your own dishes. Okay, that's a good one. All right, do your own dishes, sure. So, lots and lots. Yeah, no screen time at the dinner table, right? It's a big one for many people. Yeah, that's a good one too. Mr. Raya says, there are no rules in my home. I have a hard time believing that. But sure. Bonus question, everybody. Let's take Mr. Ra's kind of fun here one step further. If there are no rules, what exists? So Mr. Raya says, there are no rules in my home. So if there are no rules means Mr. Ryan has, what is it called? It starts with an A. I'm wondering if anybody knows the word. It's called anarchy. Has anarchy in his home. That's funny. Let's do a little laughy face for that one. Mr. Ryan has anarchy in his home, but for those of you who do not have anarchy in your homes, you have these, right? Now, then you take notes on each of these. So you take notes on describing it. I'm going to go with no screen time at the dinner table. Okay. So describe it, right? So 2 years ago, my father implemented a hard rule of no screen time at the dinner table. Okay, this means that all phones, tablets, and other devices have to be put away before sitting down for dinner. Okay, so we describe that rule. Okay. My father had come up with this rule because my siblings and I were checking text messages and playing games while eating. And this was disrupting not only our family time, but also our ability to focus on our food. Okay, so I'm not going to finish this. You get the idea. Okay, so we go through each of these steps and we keep going here. All right. Now, students, let's do some volunteering because the time just keeps ticking and I'd like to hear your voices. So for volunteering, we're going to use Zoom, everybody, and you'll practice this part 2 and part 3 today. So I'm going to put this Zoom link, and this is giving you a taste of those premium student classes. Again, to be a premium student, you need to sign up on the websites, aehelp.com or gltshelp.com, and then you get these Zoom classes twice a week for an hour and 15 minutes. gltshelp.com for general IELTS students. Okay. Let me just open up Zoom and start admitting individuals. I'm going to continue using my camera here on YouTube. You're welcome to use your camera on Zoom if you'd like. Okay. So just click that link that I dropped into the chat and then you can volunteer. To volunteer, you need to click the React button there and then you need to click a raise hand, and then this little hand will go up. So I know that you'd like to try part 2. Okay. We've got Altayeb, Amartia, Ghazi, Anna, Alexander, lots more in here. Let's get everybody in. Meanwhile, I'll also put on my headphones so I can hear you.
Она по книге очень хороший персонаж.
All right. Great. Sure, let's start with Alexander. Alexander, I know you had your hand up yesterday the whole time but didn't get a chance. So, hi, Alexander.
Hello, Adrian. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
No, so far so good, as good as could be.
All right. All right, Alexander. I'm happy to have you here, and I'm happy you came back. I know yesterday you were trying to volunteer, but I wasn't able to get to you, so that's good.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Alexander, house rules. Let's do this. Did you have a chance to prepare?
I just listened to your recommendation and fully agree with you.
That works, yes. Alex, that's a great way to do it. Just listen to what I'm saying and then follow these steps. But really it is, everybody. So if you say 1 or 2 sentences for describing it, telling its origin, what's needed for it, the outcomes and improvements, you're pretty much there. You're done. Just also kind of pay attention to the questions too. Sometimes there's a strange question that you should always answer. Okay, Alexander, I'm going to start you off. Here we go. So now we will continue with part 2. For this part, I will show you a card with some questions. Describe a good rule in your home. Your 1-minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
So one of the tradition in my home that I always forbid to prepare food or make dishwashing for my guests. Even if my brother, my nephews, or my daughter arrive to visit me, I always ask them to feel like at home, like at a relaxed place, and they don't need to take care about cooking or washing, or dishwashing, or whatever points. So they should be relaxed, just enjoy good meal. I think it's a good rule for them, first of all. Not so good for me, but it's still, everybody knows it and keep it, enjoy it, let's say this way.
Done? Alexander?
If I need to add some more rules.
Okay, no.
Yeah.
All right. So that first, okay, that was a bit short. First of all, you want to go a little bit longer. So students, do try to go, not until the examiner stops you. You should have a finish, but you should really practice that 2-minute timing. I think that was closer to like 60, 70 seconds. If I had to guess, it felt a little bit short. Not only that, Alexander, but you're missing pieces, right? Like, what do you need for this rule, or why did you make this rule, right? That wasn't, you didn't clearly explain that. Like, and I think the why question here is a really good one, right? Like, why have this rule? What's the origin for this rule? So can you tell me that in a sentence? Why do you feel this is a good rule? Why is this necessary?
Because I really want to provide maximum service and maximum enjoyment, and to make all our meetings a kind of small celebration every time. So I'd like my guests to feel comfortable and feel atmosphere of holidays.
Okay, good. So we'll keep it simple for now. Now, next question is, what do you need for this rule to work?
So I always need to have some stock of food or some materials to prepare a nice dinner or lunch or even breakfast. So my ref should be always full, and I should have some drinks beforehand. At least it's a good cause for me to always keep some food at home and some drinks. And besides, I should be prepared always to have clean kitchen and be ready to prepare something quick and but delicious.
Okay, good, good. So what I did, Alexander, this time is rather than writing down exactly what you're saying, I kind of took your ideas and wrote them down in concise ways with a little bit of improved grammar and vocabulary. So just repeat these sentences after me, and everybody else, you can do the same. So I'm working with Alexander here, but this is good practice for everyone. So just repeat. One of the traditions in my home that I always forbid my guests to cook or wash dishes.
One of the traditions of my home is that I always forbid my guests to cook or make wash dishes.
Even when my cousins or siblings visit, I tell them to just relax and enjoy themselves.
Even if my cousins or siblings visit, I always ask them to relax and enjoy my host.
And enjoy themselves.
Enjoy themselves.
I think this is a good rule for them, but maybe not so much for me because it keeps me on my toes.
I think it's a very good rule for them, but not so much for me because it's always keep me on my toes.
It keeps me on my toes.
It's me on my toes. Keep me on those.
This is a good rule because I really want to provide maximum hospitality to my guests and have them feel celebrated.
This is good rule because I always try to provide maximum hospitality to my guests.
And have them feel celebrated.
And have them feel celebrated. Yeah.
So I always need to have some extra food around the home and to remind my guests to just sit and relax because they always want to lend a hand.
So I always have to keep some stock of food in my home and ask my guests to relax because they always try to give me a hand.
Very nice. Nice contextual repetition there, Alexander. I said it a little bit differently, but you said it with perfect grammar, the same, just with a little bit different words. Very, very good, right? Okay, so that's kind of the corrected version of that. And even with all of this content, now that it's nice and concise, you're still well under 2 minutes. So you can give some examples too in this case. You can say, like last week, my cousins visited and I prepared a big turkey roast. My cousin Nikolai really wanted to help me, but I said, nope, you go sit, you have some fun, let's chat instead while I make the food, right? So you can give a specific example to really capture
that. Forgetting to provide samples. Even sometimes I prepared 3 points answer explanation examples, but today I was first maybe before.
Right. Yeah, it's so easy to forget. It's so easy to forget. And especially students, if you're in part 2 and you feel like you answered all the questions and you finished and the examiner is still just looking at you with these big eyes like, oh, you still have some time. That's a great chance to put an example in there of what you just said. Okay, so Alexander, good ideas. Pay attention to all the requirements, all the steps. I know it's a lot to keep in mind, but that's really what's needed to get those higher band scores. Okay,
thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Alexander. Awesome.
Nice day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, Alexander. All right, let's give a thumbs up to Alexander. I'm going to do that. Here's a thumbs up. Boom. That was really good. Okay, let's give somebody else a chance here. Let me see if anybody else is stuck in the chat there, yeah, or in the waiting room. There are lots of people stuck in there, so good. Nice to see everybody joining in. Okay, let's try somebody else. So again, for those of you who are like, what's going on? We're using a combination of YouTube and Zoom to practice this part 2. I'm going to drop this link into the chat again. Boom, there it is. Okay, again, good job, Alexander. And then we'll just have somebody else volunteer here. Abraham, why don't you unmute yourself? I think you didn't get a chance yesterday either.
Hello, Mr. Adrian.
Hi, Abraham.
Good morning, new country.
Yes, it's 7:20 here, bright and early. Abraham, let's do this. Let's get into this part 2. Yeah, we're gonna do part 2 again. Let's do this. So I'm going to start you off. Here we go. Now we will continue with part 2. For this part, I will show you a card with some questions. Describe a good rule in your home. Your 1-minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
The rules that I'm going to share is unplug your devices before your leavings. This rules is important because when people leave, sometimes they forget to unplug devices and for extended periods and cause some fires. So originally, these rules becomes the main rules in my family since we have real experience about fires. So to be more specific, it was maybe 2 years ago when we had a mass gatherings, mass communions, and we were to leave the house for 2 hours, and because we were late to come to the church, we didn't check every equipment and devices at homes. We just left the house and locked the doors and the windows, and then left the house. And during the mass, I got a call from my neighbors that the light outside of the house is a blackout. I consider why it is a blackout because before we leave, we turn off outside light, and then we decided to go home early. And when we check, we smells like burn cables. And then we search where is the come from, and then we found it is from the phone charts. Actually, that this will be I guess that this happens because some air, maybe some water drops from the ceilings and cause electric circuits.
Okay,
So
your
these
2 minutes
rules
is up. I will stop you there, and we will now go on to part 3. All right, Abraham, you went completely the other direction of Alexander. So you went too far down one idea. You're doing really good, and I was really enjoying your explanation, but ultimately you really got stuck on the origin. So you described the idea, or the rule in this case, of unplug your devices before exiting the home. And then you explained that it's because it's dangerous, it can start a house fire. And then you gave an example that just it was too detailed. It just went on and on. You need to say that in a much simpler way. So the reason for this rule is 2 years ago, a house fire started while we were at Sunday Mass because we left our devices plugged in. That's it. Okay. So, so you went into too much explanation there. Then you need to talk more about what is needed. So these days, before we leave the home, we have to check and make sure that all of the devices are unplugged. We created one central hub for all the chargers, and now it's just making sure that when we're locking the door, we remind ourselves, did you unplug the charger at the main hub? And then that's it. And then the next one. In this way, we can ensure the safety of our home and our possessions, right? So you go step by step by step through all of those. Okay, so let's just go back to that origin and explain it in a concise way. The reason for this rule is 2 years ago, I experienced a house fire because my family had left devices plugged in while attending Sunday. Was it Sunday Mass?
Saturday nights mass.
Saturday night Mass. Sure. Yes. Or sermon is another way to say it. So the reason for this rule is 2 years ago I experienced a house fire because my family had left devices plugged in while attending Saturday night Mass. Can you just say that?
Originally, these rules reasons is in 2 years ago we experienced a house fire because we had a left device plugged while we attending Saturday night Mass.
Okay, good. And then you go on to different ideas, right? You can't just get stuck on one idea, because even though the examiner might say, oh, that's pretty good English, it's not completely coherent, right? It's not a full idea, right? It's like, okay, so you gave me the idea and the origin, but so now what, right? Now what do you do? So you have to think about the whole picture here, okay, Abraham? And not get stuck on one point too much, right? I think the band score for that would be about a band 6, and it would have been the same for Alexandra, about a band 6, okay? Just fluent English, because they need those details for those good and very good and expert level marks, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, Abraham, thank you so much. Hopefully I'll see you in tomorrow's premium Zoom class. Did you get the link?
Yes, I get your email.
Okay, good. Yes, I got. So you got it. Right?
Yes, I got
your email. Okay, good. Abraham, awesome. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for task 1 writing.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Adrian, for having me a chance.
Thank you, Abraham. Thank you. All right. A big thumbs up for Abraham. That was awesome. Yeah, unplug your devices. It's a good call, right? Especially with those defective batteries that seem to, those lithium batteries that seem to ignite. You got to be really careful. Or if you leave them plugged in, make sure you leave them in some sort of fireproof area of sorts, right? Okay. All right. Let's try Supergirl iPhone if you're there. Supergirl iPhone, are you there? iPhone 13 Pro? Not sure. Okay, Touchkea, are you there?
Hello.
Oh, sorry, Touchkea, hold off. We got Supergirl on here. Supergirl, hi.
Hi, morning.
Good morning. Sorry, what can I ask your name, please?
Sandra. My name's Sandra.
Sandra?
Yes, Sandra.
Oh, hi, Sandra. Yeah, I think we spoke before once. Are you in?
Oh, yeah.
You're in Ghana?
Like 3 weeks? No, Nigeria.
Nigeria. Okay, yes, I remembered. Okay. Sandra, good to have you back.
Thank you, and you too.
All right, Sandra, let's jump to some part 3 questions that'll be based on this topic. So when you finish part 2, the examiner will say, okay, that's the end of part 2. Now we'll go to part 3 and we'll talk about some questions related to the topic of part 2. Let's talk about rules and regulations. What are some important rules that are common in many countries? Sandra, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Rules that are common in many countries.
Yeah. What are some important rules that are common in many countries?
Tax. Payment of tax. Hello?
Yeah, that's it?
Should I speak? Should I go ahead and say something?
Yeah, you need a full sentence answer.
Because my network, I'm actually using my network. And my network is really bad.
Here, let me expand on that a little bit. So, as the saying goes, 2 things are for sure in life: death and
My network
taxes.
is really bad. I can't see your YouTube. I can only hear you.
That's good, because that's like the real exam. In the real exam, in the real exam, you don't see the questions.
The YouTube is a little bit slow.
Yeah,
in my end, because my network is very, very bad.
That's the delay. And everybody, for part 1 and part 3, do remember that in the real exam, you don't see the questions, you just hear them. Okay, so one more time, Sandra, what are some important rules that are common in many countries? Use the question, give a full answer.
Okay, the most important rules that is in so many countries is called tax. Like, you have to pay your tax for. You have to pay the government tax in Dubai, Nigeria, Ghana, Canada, UAE, and so many other.
Some people
And
believe that the death penalty is necessary for extreme crimes such as murder. Others disagree. What is your opinion and why?
okay, some people disagree for so many. Yeah, me, I disagree also because some in some in some communities there are always cameras, CCTV cameras, and some communities there's not CCTV camera. Like so in Nigeria where I stay, there are some places that you will go to that there's CCTV camera. So you would need those CCTV cameras for dangers. While some countries you don't even need to check. You just go ahead and see the CCTV cameras and you watch the dangers.
What new laws may people see in the future and why?
Okay, new laws they say in the future and why. New laws like the police. We need new laws. The police come out and make people great and make the city feel safe. And why? Because the people need self self to be safe, and the community needs to be cool, and also the the people need to be more secured in where they're going to, or maybe people that are traveling on the road. The people need to be safe because you
Okay.
don't know what.
All right, Sandra. I love the effort. It's awesome, and it's good practice, especially like this where you don't see the questions. Now, as far as a band score goes, I think your band score is going to be about a 5 to a band 5.5 here, and the reason is coherence. You're not answering the questions. You have to be really careful, okay? And when we're talking about new laws, we're talking maybe not about police going into the city, but new laws like cybercrime, stealing people's information online and laws against that or rules against that in the future, or using different kinds of technology like flying drones, for example. So,
Okay.
so it's new laws that don't exist, right? So, what kind of new laws will we see in the future? With the previous question, the question was about the death penalty. So, the death penalty means like sentencing a person to death. Basically saying like, hey, that's a terrible crime, you will need to die. And some countries have it, some countries don't. Some countries even have a mix, like the US, where in some parts of the US they have it, some parts of the US they don't have it. So Canada does not have it. Some countries have it, right? I think UAE, does UAE have a death penalty?
Yes.
I think it does, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so some countries have it, some countries don't. It's a debatable question always in modern history. So that was that question. The first one with taxes was okay, but it was kind of like what are some important rules? So not just one, not just pay your taxes, but there are lots of rules like follow the traffic signs, right? So you have to stop at a red light. For example, or not stealing is another common rule, right? So you have to say a few of them there. So, Sandra, what I'd like you to really practice is part 3 and just really
Okay.
practice answering the question, okay?
Okay.
All right. Now, to do that effectively, use the question. So what are some important rules? Well, some important rules are, right? So use the question in your answer, okay? And then
Okay.
you'll be up more on it. Thank you so much, Sandra, for volunteering. I appreciate you coming back.
You're welcome
Have a great day.
for having. Bye.
Bye. All right, that was Sandra. And everybody, I'm out of time, so I'm going to end this for now on Zoom. But again, for those of you who would like more chances to speak and speak lots, definitely recommend joining our premium classes at aehelp.com and glshelp.com, because that's where you can get 2 extra classes tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, every single week. for speaking and for other topics. Like tomorrow we'll have a task 1 class, and that's very interactive too, so we talk to each other for task 1. Felix says no. Yes, it has to end at some point. So, George or Jorge, welcome to our exclusive videos. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining. Again, students, our websites look like this. This is the academic here. Click the big red button to join. For the general, it's gieltshelp.com. It's this one here. If you're a premium student, you should already have those links. So Ghazi, if you want to join the premium class tomorrow, make sure you have that link. Okay. Have a great day, Hopanop, and everybody else. I will see you here on YouTube next week, Tuesday for sure. And premium students, I will see you tomorrow for task 1. Keep up the good work, everybody. Stay vigilant. Stay positive. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. Bye for now, everyone.